Over the years, I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of couples, all at different stages of their relationships, with different backgrounds, different struggles, and different dreams. And what I've come to realize is no matter how different their stories may be, the challenges they face always seem to boil down to the same few lessons. These lessons aren't glamorous, and they're certainly not what we're sold in movies or fairy tales. But they are the raw truths about marriage, the kind you can only understand through experience and sometimes through hard-earned wisdom. These are the lessons I keep coming back to, the ones that tend to make or break a marriage. And if you're willing to lean into them, they can completely transform the way you show up in your relationship. So today, I'm going to share these 2 lessons with you. They're the ones I've seen time and time again, and are usually the difference between a marriage that thrives and one that just barely survives. So watch till the end for a simple 3-step plan I've created just for you to apply these lessons into your marriage. I'm Jourdan Travers. I'm a licensed clinical therapist. Let's dive in. Lesson number 1, nobody is born a good partner. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at a couple and thought to yourself, wow, they've got it all together. They must be naturally good at this whole marriage thing. It's easy to think that some people just get it, like they were born with this secret formula to a perfect relationship. But here's the truth. Nobody comes into a marriage knowing how to be a great partner. Nobody. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that some people are just naturally good at relationships. And that's a dangerous myth. Being a good partner, it takes work. In reality, being a great partner is something you learn, and it often takes years to figure out what that even means. I'll give you a real example. I was working with a couple. Let's call them Sarah and Josh. Sarah came from a family where emotions were rarely spoken about. Her parents didn't argue in front of her, and everything was kept inside, unspoken. So when she and Josh had a disagreement, Sarah would just shut down and avoid talking about it. She thought that was the right way to handle conflict. Stay quiet, peaceful, no drama. But Josh was raised in a household where emotions were always out in the open, sometimes a bit too openly. And he believed that addressing things head on always was the right way to deal with issues. It was clear that neither one of them was naturally good at conflict resolution, but they were willing to learn together. They started practicing how to communicate with each other more openly. Josh learning to be patient with Sarah, and Sarah learning to express herself more clearly. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy at first. There were a lot of missteps, but with practice, they both became more romantically competent. They improved, they adapted, and they grew together as partners. But what does this mean for you? Well, it means that marriage isn't about waiting for the stars to align perfectly or for your partner to just get you. You're not born knowing how to meet every emotional need, to solve every problem, or navigate every disagreement. It's a skill you develop together, and it's completely normal to not get it right immediately. The key is effort, real consistent effort to grow and adapt to each other's needs. Lesson number 2, what you put in is what you get out. The next lesson is something a lot of couples struggle with, and it's one of the most common sources of frustration. Marriage is not a passive experience. It's not about just coasting along and hoping things stay good. The truth is, what you get out of your marriage is a direct reflection of what you're willing to put into it. Let's take intimacy as an example. In the beginning, or the honeymoon phase, life feels like one great big adventure. But as the months and years go by, we get busy with work, raising kids, running errands, and managing the daily grind of life. We stop making time for each other. We stop going on date nights, checking in with each other emotionally. And it's not that we don't love our partner anymore. It's just that life gets in the way. And intimacy, both physical and emotional, it becomes an afterthought. So what's the bottom line here? Marriage isn't something that just sustains itself. If you don't invest in it, it won't thrive. Think about it like a garden. If you want those beautiful flowers to grow, you have to water them, tend to them, and make sure they're getting enough sunlight. You can't just hope they'll grow on their own. And the same goes for your marriage. Put in the time, the appreciation, and the effort, and you will see love grow. And if you don't, the cracks, they start to show up. Slowly at first, but eventually they become way too big to ignore. It takes most couples decades to crack these codes. So this is just me giving you a head start. But don't be fooled. Simply knowing these lessons won't do you any good. You have to apply them. How? Well, here's a 3-step plan to do just that. Step 1, break the habit of assuming. One of the biggest obstacles in any marriage is this assumption that your partner should just know what you need or want. But nobody can read minds. So the first step is to stop assuming. Instead, start asking. When you feel yourself assuming something, whether it's that your partner should just know how to cheer you up when you're down or that they understand how important something is to you, pause and communicate it clearly. For example, instead of hoping your partner will notice that you're upset, say, I've had a tough day and I need some comfort. It's that simple. This will shift the way you interact, turning your marriage from guesswork to a partnership of clarity. Step 2, make time for marriage maintenance. Just like a car needs regular maintenance to run smoothly, your relationship needs regular check-ins. Set a recurring time each week. Yes, put it on the calendar for a relationship tune-up. This tune-up could be a 20-minute conversation over coffee, a walk, or just a quiet moment before bed. During this time, talk about how things are going emotionally and logistically. Not just the big issues, but the small stuff too. Things like, how are we doing with chores? Have I been present enough for you this week? This proactive effort will prevent things from building up and will keep your relationship strong. Step 3, turn conflict into collaboration. When disagreements come up, and trust me, they will, don't view them as a battle. Instead, flip the script and approach conflict as a collaboration. The goal isn't to win or be right. The goal is to find a solution that works for both of you. For example, if you're debating how to spend a weekend, instead of arguing who gets their way, try something like, hey, let's brainstorm a solution that we both love. This mindset shifts the entire dynamic from adversarial to collaborative, creating a sense of teamwork rather than tension. And if you're serious about making real changes in your relationship, it's time to stop waiting for things to improve on their own. These lessons are the foundation, but the work starts when you put them into practice. If you like this video, smash the like button and consider subscribing to my channel for more content about marriage and relationships. Let me know how this 3-step plan works out for you in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have there too. I'm Jourdan Travers. I'm the Clinical Director of Awake Therapy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.